Growing older is something many of us hope for, and when we're lucky enough to reach these golden years, we carry with us decades of stories, wisdom, and strength. But along the way, without even realizing it, we might pick up habits that quietly distance us from the people we love most. Not because we mean to, and certainly not because we have changed in our hearts, but simply because no one tells us these things out loud. Sometimes the people around us feel too uncomfortable to say, "Hey, that habit hurts," or "That way of speaking makes me pull away." So today, let's have a gentle, honest conversation. Just you and me. No shame, no judgment, just kindness and reflection. Because the truth is, growing old should not mean growing lonely. We all deserve connection, laughter, and warmth at every stage of life. And even if we find one small habit to shift today, it might open the door to deeper relationships and more joyful days. Let's begin. 1. Turning every conversation into a complaint. As we age, life changes in ways we never expected. The body doesn't move quite the same. The news feels heavier. And sometimes we find ourselves overwhelmed by the weight of the world. It's natural, completely human, to feel frustration, sadness, even anger. And talking about it, that can be healing. But when nearly every conversation becomes a list of what's wrong, it can slowly wear on the people around us. Not because they don't care. In fact, they care so deeply that hearing our pain again and again becomes too much for their hearts to carry. Think about a friend or loved one calling you. They miss you. They want to hear your voice. But before they can share anything, the call becomes a rundown of complaints. The pain in your hip, the neighbors being loud again, how expensive everything is now. Before they even finish their coffee, they're emotionally drained. And the next time, they might hesitate to call. That's not what we want. We want connection, not distance. And the good news is, we can change this pattern with something simple. Try starting your next conversation with a moment of light. It can be small. A squirrel doing something silly on the porch, a bird you saw, a warm cup of tea. Share something that made you smile, even just for a second. That little joy tells the person listening, "There's still light in my life. Come sit with me in it." This doesn't mean you can't be honest. It means you mix honesty with hope. Because joy is magnetic. It makes people want to stay, to come closer, to call again. You deserve to be heard. And sometimes the best way to be heard is to show that you can still see beauty, even on the hard days. 2. Turning every visit into a health report. There's no question, health becomes a bigger part of life as we age. Medications, doctor appointments, strange new aches that seem to come out of nowhere. It's real, and it matters. But what also matters, just as much, is how we connect with the people we love. When every phone call or visit becomes a deep dive into symptoms and medical routines, even the most devoted family members can feel overwhelmed. It's not that they don't care. They do. But they also want to feel something lighter in your presence. Curiosity, laughter, shared stories. Your daughter wants to tell you about her day at work. Your grandson wants to know if you've heard that funny song he loves. They want to know what you think, what you feel, what made you laugh today, not just how your back is doing or which medication was adjusted. Here's something many older women forget. Your presence alone is a gift. Your energy, your warmth, your stories. These are treasures that go far beyond any diagnosis. So yes, talk about your health if you need to, but also save space for joy. Ask your grandchild about their dreams. Share a memory. Talk about something that made you chuckle. Your life is rich with color, not just the grayscale of illness. And when you let others see that, they come closer, not because they pity you, but because they feel good around you. 3. Being too opinionated, even when it comes from love. With age comes wisdom. You've lived through things others can't imagine. You've learned the hard way what works and what doesn't. And when you see your children or grandchildren making choices that you know, from experience, may not end well, it's hard to stay quiet. But here's the thing. Sometimes, the best way to love someone is to not correct them. You may think, I'm just giving advice. But to them, it can feel like judgment. Like no matter what they do, it's never quite good enough in your eyes. That feeling builds a quiet wall. They start calling less, visiting less, because they don't want to feel small around someone they love. One man once told the story of how his mother, a strong, smart woman, would constantly correct how he disciplined his son. "You're too soft," she'd say, or, "That's not how I raised you." It got to a point where he dreaded every visit, not because he didn't love her, but because he felt constantly criticized. Your voice is powerful, but sometimes silence, loving, supportive silence, is even more powerful. Try this next time. When your granddaughter tells you something you disagree with, pause, smile. Say, "I see how much thought you've put into that." You don't have to lie, you don't have to agree, but you can validate her heart. You don't need to prove your wisdom. You carry it in your presence. Let it be felt, not forced. 4. Letting go of self-care. There's a quiet moment that happens in the mirror, often when no one's around. You look at your reflection and think, what's the point anymore? Maybe your hair doesn't fall the way it used to. Maybe you're too tired to change into something fresh. Maybe the only person you were dressing up for is no longer here. But self-care is not about vanity. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about saying to yourself, I still matter. I still deserve to feel good in my skin. When you skip showers for days, when your clothes smell of yesterday's dinner, when you stop brushing your hair or forget to brush your teeth, the people around you notice. They may not say a word, but they feel it. And often, they don't know how to respond. One caregiver once shared that her mother, once proud and polished, slowly stopped bathing. The smell made it hard to sit close. Her heart ached, not from judgment, but from sadness. She missed the woman her mother used to be. It's not about looking young, it's about holding on to your dignity. When you care for yourself, even in small, gentle ways, you show the world that you haven't given up, and more importantly, you remind yourself that you're still worth the effort. Put on your favorite sweater, even if no one's coming over. Brush your hair and smile at your reflection. Light a candle while you sip your tea. These little things are not meaningless. They are quiet acts of self-respect, and they keep the connection to others alive. 5. Living only in the past. The past holds treasures. The way your husband looked at you when you first met, the smell of your mother's kitchen, the song that played at your wedding. These memories are sacred. They are part of your story, and they should be shared. But when every conversation turns into a history lesson, the people around you start to feel like guests at a museum, not partners in a relationship. Your granddaughter wants to tell you about the new song she likes. Your son wants to hear what you think about his new job. But if every time they speak they hear, "Back in my day," or "When I was young," they may start to tune out. Reminiscing is beautiful, but being present is powerful. Ask questions. Stay curious. What's your grandson's favorite video game? What does your neighbor like to bake? What was the last thing that made your friend laugh until she cried? You don't have to stop telling your stories, but make room for theirs too. Life isn't just something we've already lived. It's happening right now. And there are still moments to be part of, not just remember. 6. Criticizing the younger generation. It's easy to look at the world today and shake your head. The clothes, the slang, the phones in their hands. It all feels so different from how things used to be. And maybe it's true. Things are different. But here's something worth remembering. Your parents once said the same things about you. You were the one dancing too close, playing the music too loud, wearing skirts they didn't understand. And now, you're the one saying, "Kids these days." When all young people hear is what they're doing wrong, they stop listening. They feel dismissed, disrespected, unwelcome. But when they hear, "You're creative," or "I love how brave you are," their faces light up. They lean in. They want to be near you. You don't have to pretend to love everything they do. You just have to notice what's good. The kindness, the resilience, the humor. Be the person who builds bridges, not one who reminds them of how far apart the generations feel. Connection doesn't come from being the same. It comes from being seen. 7. Gossiping or meddling. As we grow older, our world can start to shrink. Friends pass on, routines settle in, and life becomes quieter. So we naturally turn to the familiar, our friends, our community, our family, for connection. But sometimes, in the stillness, we find ourselves slipping into something unhelpful: gossip and meddling. It may start innocently. A neighbor makes a strange choice. A friend's daughter gets a divorce. A grandson posts something odd on social media. And before we know it, we're repeating stories or offering advice that was never asked for. We don't mean to hurt anyone. Often, our comments come from concern or curiosity. But here's the truth. When we speak about others without their presence, or insert ourselves into situations that aren't ours to fix, we chip away at trust. People may not say anything to your face, but they start pulling back. They visit less often. They call less. Not because they stopped loving you, but because they no longer feel safe around you. One woman shared that her son stopped bringing his wife around because every visit she'd ask about their marriage or give unsolicited suggestions on how they should raise their children. "I thought I was being helpful," she said. "But I realize now I was crossing lines I didn't need to." Here's a truth to hold on to. Love doesn't always speak. Sometimes love simply listens, watches, waits to be invited in. You don't have to prove you care by getting involved. You prove you care by respecting boundaries. Trust that others are finding their own way, and if they need you, they'll ask. Silence can be sacred, and sometimes the greatest wisdom comes not in offering an opinion, but in offering presence. 8. Refusing to learn new things. There's a certain pride that comes from having lived a long life. You've learned so much already, raised families, worked hard, solved problems without Google, and made it through seasons of life that younger folks can't begin to understand. So when new things come along, new technology, new words, new ways of doing things, it's natural to feel resistant. After all, you've managed this long without any of it, haven't you? But refusing to learn, it creates a wall between you and the people you love. You see, for your grandkids, texting isn't just convenience, it's communication. FaceTime isn't just fun, it's how they connect emotionally. QR codes aren't nonsense. They're part of everyday life now. And when you say, "I don't do that," what they hear is, "I don't want to meet you where you are." That gap gets wider. And the sad part is, it doesn't have to be that way. Learning something new, whether it's how to open an email, how to scan a code at a restaurant, or how to join a family video call, isn't just about mastering a device. It's about saying, "I still want to be a part of your world." It's not always easy. There will be moments of frustration, but every new thing you try keeps your brain sharp and your heart open. One 85-year-old woman joined an online knitting circle with her niece. At first, she was terrified to even turn on the laptop. But a few weeks in, she was sharing patterns, laughing through the screen, feeling alive in a way she hadn't in years. "I never thought I'd enjoy this," she said. "But it reminds me, I'm not done growing yet." You're not either. 9. Playing the victim. This one is tender. Because if we're being honest, aging can sometimes feel like a slow wave of loss. People we love pass away. Children grow up and get busy. Friends move or stop calling. The house is quieter than it used to be. Loneliness creeps in, not loudly, but steadily. And when that happens, it's easy to fall into a mindset of helplessness. Thoughts like, nobody cares. My children never visit. People only call when they need something. It's a painful place to be, and those feelings are valid. Truly, they are. But staying there, stuck in that narrative, can quietly push others away even more. People don't always know how to respond to pain. When every conversation starts with, I'm all alone, or nobody comes to see me, they may feel guilty, even ashamed. And guilt is not a strong foundation for love. It builds distance, not closeness. You deserve connection, but sometimes, to receive it, you have to take the first step. It could be as small as sending a birthday card to someone who didn't expect one, or calling a neighbor and asking if they want to walk with you, or simply saying to your grandson, I miss you. Can we talk soon? You don't have to wait for others to fill your cup. You can begin filling it yourself, one small reach at a time. Being strong doesn't mean pretending everything's okay. It means showing up anyway, reaching out, even when you're unsure how it will be received, giving love, not just hoping for it. You're not forgotten. You're not a burden. You're needed. And sometimes, the moment you step forward is the moment the world remembers how much they missed you. 10. Using money to control. Money is a complicated subject, especially within families. You may have worked hard your whole life, saved every penny, and now find yourself in a position where you can help your children or grandchildren financially. That's a beautiful thing. It shows generosity, love, and legacy. But here's where it gets tricky. Sometimes, without realizing it, money becomes a tool for control instead of a gift of care. We give, but expect something in return. Gratitude, loyalty, obedience, even presence. You might think, I paid for her car, she should call me more. Or, I helped him with rent, he should take my advice. And while those feelings are natural, they create an invisible transaction. And relationships should never feel like transactions. One woman shared how her father constantly reminded her and her siblings of everything he had paid for. I'm the reason you got through college, he'd say. I helped you buy your house, don't forget that. At first, they thanked him. Over time, though, those reminders felt like emotional debt. And eventually, they stopped visiting as often, not out of ingratitude, but because of guilt and pressure. The truth is, love that comes with strings attached never feels like love. It feels like obligation. If you choose to give, do it freely. Give because it brings you joy, not because you expect something in return. And if you can't give without resentment, it's okay to wait. It's better to offer warmth in words than money wrapped in expectation. Your worth isn't tied to your checkbook. The most valuable thing you give your family is not financial. It's your wisdom, your presence, your stories, and your love. 11. Refusing help. There's a deep sense of pride that comes with being able to do things on your own. You've built a life with your own hands, raised children, managed a household, faced heartbreak, and kept going. Accepting help now might feel like giving up a piece of your independence, but here's a gentle truth. Allowing someone to help you is not a sign of weakness. It's an invitation to connection. When your granddaughter offers to carry your groceries, or your neighbor offers to drive you to the doctor, they're not trying to diminish you. They're trying to love you. And when you constantly say, "No, I've got it," what they might hear is, "I don't need you." One woman shared that every time she tried to help her mother, whether it was organizing bills or adjusting the TV, her mother brushed her off. "I can do it myself," she'd say. Eventually, the daughter stopped offering, not because she didn't care, but because she felt pushed away. Letting someone help is a gift, for them, as much as for you. It tells them their presence matters, that they're useful, that they're trusted. So next time someone says, "Can I help you with that?" try saying yes, not because you can't do it, but because connection matters more than pride. 12. Losing your sense of humor. Life can be heavy. There's illness, grief, pain, and the quiet ache of missing people we've loved. And sometimes, that weight makes it feel like laughter doesn't belong anymore, like there's no space left for lightness. But oh, how wrong that is. Laughter is not denial, it's resilience. It's the soul's way of breathing again. And when you can still chuckle at a silly commercial, roll your eyes playfully at a bad joke, or smile at the absurdity of life, you become a magnet for joy. People love being around someone who can laugh, not because life is easy, but because you make it easier to bear. One elderly woman, well into her 80s, once joked to her family, "I may be old, but I'm still sharp, unless I'm looking for my glasses." They laughed, she laughed, and something beautiful happened in that moment. Connection. You don't have to be the life of the party, but don't close the door on joy. Don't let sorrow take all the space in your heart. There's still room for light, for silliness, for play. Humor doesn't erase the hard parts of life. It simply reminds us we're still alive. So laugh, often, at yourself, with others, and let that laughter be a thread that pulls people closer to you. 13. Giving unsolicited advice. This one is perhaps the most well-intentioned of all, and yet the most quietly damaging. You've seen so much, lived through mistakes, built wisdom from experience, and learned lessons you had to figure out the hard way. So naturally, when you see someone, especially someone you love, making choices you would never make, your instinct is to guide them, to protect them, to save them from pain. It comes from love. Truly, it does. But when advice is offered without being asked, it rarely lands the way we hope. To the person receiving it, especially a younger child or adult, unsolicited advice can feel like criticism in disguise. It sounds like, "You're not doing this right," or worse, "You're not enough the way you are." And after enough of that, even the kindest hearts begin to shut down. One woman in her 60s shared how her daughter would stop mid-sentence every time she tried to open up about her marriage or her kids. "I always want to give her the best answers," she said. But lately, she just says, "Mom, can I talk without being corrected?" That broke me. I didn't realize I was making her feel small. Sometimes, people don't want answers. They want to be heard, to feel safe, to be held in a space where they can speak freely without being redirected, corrected, or advised. You don't need to have all the solutions. Sometimes, your simple presence is enough. Next time someone tells you they're struggling, whether it's your granddaughter trying to manage motherhood or a neighbor sharing frustrations, try this. Take a breath and say, "That sounds really hard. I'm so proud of you." That one sentence holds more healing power than a list of instructions ever could. Because when the time for advice comes, if it comes, they'll ask. And when they do, your words will be treasured, not resented. Wisdom is not just about what we say. It's about knowing when not to say anything at all. Growing old, growing closer. Growing old is not something to be feared. It's something sacred. It's a privilege denied to many. And with every year, we earn more than wrinkles or silver hair. We earn perspective, strength, a story worth telling. But sometimes, without realizing it, we adopt habits that don't reflect the love we carry inside. Habits that build invisible walls, that slowly quietly create distance, even with the people who adore us. You're not broken if you recognize some of these habits. You're human. You're evolving. And the fact that you're here, listening, reflecting, means your heart is still very much open. That is something to be proud of. The beauty of this season of life is that we still have time. Time to choose differently. Time to say, maybe I've been a little too harsh. Maybe I've been talking more than listening. Maybe I can soften just a bit. You don't need to change overnight. You don't need to become someone else. Even choosing one small shift, just one habit to work on, can change how people feel in your presence. And the truth is, your presence is a gift. Not for what you do, or say, or give, but simply because of who you are. You are the keeper of memories, the voice of reason, the laughter in the corner of the room, the hand that still reaches out. You are not a burden. You are not invisible. You are not too much or too old. You are deeply needed. And when you let go of the habits that create distance, what you make room for is love, connection, closeness. So ask yourself gently, which of these habits do I recognize in me? No blame, just awareness. Because self-awareness is not about guilt, it's about growth. And if you felt even a small spark of truth in this message, share it. With a friend? With a daughter? With someone who may be hurting in silence. Let this be the beginning of a deeper kind of wisdom, one rooted not just in knowledge, but in kindness. You've come so far, and there's still so much more to give. Stay kind, stay open, and above all else, stay golden.